When the galaxy's most feared apex predators, the Vrath'kul hunting clans, capture a lone human drifter named Vesper Wilde, they expect easy sport. What they get instead is a nightmare wrapped in flesh and bone. Vesper doesn't just survive their deadly trials, she turns the tables, hunting the hunters with terrifying precision and a smile that promises pain. Through the eyes of Kretok, a seasoned Vrath'kul tracker, we witness the unraveling of everything his species believed about strength, dominance, and the food chain. One question haunts him as bodies pile up: how many apex predators has this human hunted before? And more importantly, how do you kill something that treats death like a hobby? A dark, witty tale of reversed roles, where humanity's most dangerous trait isn't technology or weapons. It's the unsettling joy we take in flipping the script. I should have known something was wrong when she smiled. Kretok had been hunting for 3 decades across 17 star systems, and prey did not smile, prey screamed, prey begged. Prey soiled themselves and offered bargains their simple minds thought might save them. But this human, this scrawny biped with her copper-red hair matted with grime and her mismatched eyes, one green, one brown, she smiled like we had just told her a joke instead of a death sentence. "So," she said, her voice rough but steady, "you're the big scary predators everyone keeps whining about." I clicked my mandibles in confusion. Behind me Throska growled low, his forearms flexing. The human was bound to the ceremonial post in our ship's cargo bay, magnetic restraints humming around her wrists and ankles. She wore the tattered remains of a mining colony uniform, streaked with what I assumed was her own blood. Her ship had been a joke, a rust bucket freighter we had disabled with barely a thought. She should have been terrified. Instead, she looked bored. "You understand your situation?" I asked, leaning forward until my scaled face was level with hers. My species, the Vrath'kul, stood 8 feet tall on our hind legs. We had dominated the hunting grounds of the outer spiral for centuries. Lesser species whispered our name like a curse. This human should have been trembling. "You are quarry. We are predators. In one rotation, we release you on Krell 5, and the hunt begins. If you survive 3 solar cycles, you earn your freedom. No one has survived." "Neat." She tilted her head, studying me like I was an insect under glass. "Quick question though. How many has hunted you back?" The question made no sense. "Hunted? Us?" "Yeah, you know," she shrugged, the restraints sparking as she moved. "Seems like a pretty one-sided game you've got going. You pick on miners, colonists, cargo haulers, soft targets. So I'm curious, how often does something with actual teeth come looking for you?" Throska snarled and moved to strike her, but I raised a claw. "You speak boldly for food." "Food?" She tasted the word, then grinned wider. "That's adorable. Tell me, Tiny. Sorry, what's your name?" "I am Kretok, second claw of the..." Cool, Kretok. "Tell me, Kretok, you ever hunt anything that wasn't already half dead or unarmed? Because from where I'm sitting, you folks seem less like apex predators and more like..." "Well, what's the word? Scavengers?" "No, that's too kind. Bullies. You're space bullies with a marketing problem." The cargo bay fell silent. 12 members of my hunting pack stood frozen, processing what they had just heard. No prey had ever spoken like this. No prey had ever mocked us. I felt something unfamiliar twist in my gut. Anger, yes, but also something else. Something that felt uncomfortably like doubt. "You will regret your words when we release you," I said, forcing authority into my voice. "Krell 5 is a death world. Acid rain. Predators in every shadow. The terrain itself will kill you before we even begin the hunt." "Sounds lovely. Vacation homes must be cheap." She yawned. Actually yawned. "Listen, I don't mean to be rude, but could we speed this up? I've got places to be, people to disappoint, the usual human stuff." Throska couldn't contain himself. He lunged forward, claws extended, and slashed at her face. It should have opened her throat, but somehow, impossibly, she moved. The restraints screamed as she twisted, and his claws caught only air. When she settled back, she was laughing. "Oh, you almost had me. Points for enthusiasm. minus several hundred for technique. She winked at him. Don't worry, big guy, you'll get another shot. We've got what, 24 hours? Plenty of time for you to embarrass yourself again. I pulled Vrath'kul back before he could lose what remained of his dignity. Secure her in holding, double the restraints. I want guards posted at all times. As we dragged her away, and it took 4 of us because she kept going limp and making us carry her full weight while humming some irritating melody, I heard her call out, "Hey Kretok, serious question. Do you guys have a protocol for when the prey wins? Like, is there paperwork, a form I need to fill out?" We locked her in the holding cell and activated the maximum security protocols. Through the transparent wall, I watched her examine her surroundings with the casual interest of a tourist checking into a hotel. "Something is wrong with that one," Vrath'kul muttered. "She is broken in the head." Agreed, but I did not move from the window. I could not stop watching her. She noticed my stare and waved. "Want to hear a joke? What's the difference between a Vrath'kul hunting party and a garbage disposal?" I did not respond. The garbage disposal knows when it's chewed off more than it can swallow. She laughed at her own joke, a sound that was somehow both musical and threatening. "See you on Krell 5, boys. Try not to die before I get there. Would hate for this to be anticlimactic." 23 hours later, we dropped her on Krell 5's northern continent. She had refused the standard survival pack, refused the head start, refused everything except a single request. She asked if she could have Vrath'kul's ceremonial hunting knife as a souvenir. We laughed. We denied her. We watched on our screens as she walked into the purple jungle, still wearing those ridiculous torn coveralls, still humming that same annoying tune. "I almost pity her," Vrath'kul said, checking his weapons for the 10th time. "The mud serpents will find her within the hour." But I did not pity her. I stared at that empty spot where she had disappeared into the foliage, and I felt something I had not experienced in 3 decades of hunting. I felt afraid. "Begin the hunt," I ordered, my voice steady despite the tremor in my claws. "And stay in formation. Something about that human is wrong." "She is food," Vrath'kul insisted. "Nothing more." But as we descended to the surface, armed and ready, I could not shake the memory of her smile, of her question. "How many has hunted you back?" We were about to find out. The first body we found was Jacksu. He had been our scout, the fastest of our pack, with sensory organs so refined he could track a blood drop through a meteor storm. We found him hanging upside down from a razor vine tree, his throat opened with surgical precision. But that was not the disturbing part. The disturbing part was the message carved into the bark above him. Written in his own blood. 1 down. 11 to go. "Thanks for the knife, by the way. It is super sharp." Vrath'kul roared and fired his plasma rifle into the canopy, vaporizing trees in a blind rage. I grabbed his upper left arm and yanked him back. "Control yourself. She wants us scattered. She wants us angry. She is prey." Vrath'kul bellowed, spittle flying from his mandibles. "We are Vrath'kul. We have hunted for centuries. We do not fall to..." The throwing blade took him through the eye before he could finish. He dropped like a stone, twitched twice, and went still. His own ceremonial knife, the one she had requested, now buried in his brain. "Sorry to interrupt." A voice came from everywhere and nowhere, echoing through the jungle with cheerful malice. "But you guys talk too much. It is honestly exhausting. Do you do therapy? Because you should consider therapy." I ordered defensive positions, but my pack was already fracturing. 3 hunters fired wildly into the undergrowth. 2 activated their cloaking fields and vanished. The rest pressed back to back, scanning for threats that refused to materialize. "Kretok." I recognized Vesper's voice over the comm. She and Mortic had taken the eastern approach. "We see her. She is running toward the acid pools. We have her cornered. Do not pursue alone. Wait for..." The screaming cut off mid-frequency, then silence. Then, impossibly, laughter. Her laughter, transmitted over Vesper's comm unit. "You know what I love about you, Vrath'kul? You are so predictable. You see prey running and you chase. You are like puppies, deadly, 8-foot-tall puppies with bad breath and worse manners." A pause. "Oh, and Kretok, Your friends are taking a bath. An acid bath. Spoiler alert, they are not enjoying it. I felt my scales flush cold. In 1 hour she had killed 4 of my pack. 4 hunters who had terrorized entire colonies. 4 apex predators, reduced to meat and mockery. New plan, I said, forcing authority into my voice. We retreat to the ship. Orbital bombardment. We glass this entire continent and run away? Her voice was right behind me. I spun, rifle raised, but she was not there. Only her voice, broadcast through the comm she must have taken from Vesper's corpse. That seems off-brand for you big scary hunters. What happened to the death world? What happened to the 3 solar cycles? Were those lies, Kretok? Because lying is rude. Show yourself, human. Oh, I am right here. I have been here the whole time. You are just very bad at this. Something moved in my peripheral vision. I fired. The plasma bolt obliterated a tree, revealing nothing but smoke and falling ash. Oh, close. Try again. This is fun. The next 3 hours were not fun. They were horror. She picked us apart like a child dissecting insects. Corvin fell into a pit trap, lined with sharpened bone. Dalric died to his own proximity mine, somehow reprogrammed and relocated while he slept. Nausik simply vanished, and we found only his lower half an hour later, arranged artfully on a rock with a little flag made from his own shirt that read, "You are next." By the time the second solar cycle began, only 3 of us remained, myself, Graktos, and Lysara. We huddled in a defensible cave surrounded by motion sensors, tripwires, and every piece of military hardware we could salvage. This cannot be happening, Lysara whispered, her rifle shaking in her claws. She is one human, one very motivated human. Vesper's voice drifted from outside the cave. We could see her now, sitting cross-legged on a boulder about 50 meters away, clearly visible in the purple twilight. She was cleaning her nails with Throssic's knife. Hey, quick poll. How are you guys feeling? Scared? Confused? Regretting your life choices? All of the above? Why are you doing this? I shouted back. We gave you a chance to survive. We follow the ancient traditions of the hunt. Oh, traditions. Cool. Love traditions. She stood, stretched like she had just woken from a nap. Want to hear about one of my traditions? Back on Earth, terrible planet, do not recommend. Great coffee though. We have this thing called karma. It means what goes around comes around. You hunt defenseless people for sport. Well, congratulations. Now you know how it feels. You are a monster, Graktos snarled. Buddy, I am a freight hauler from New Melbourne, who had a bad week. You kidnapped me, threatened me, and dumped me on a death world for entertainment. She tilted her head, and even from this distance, I could see her mismatched eyes glinting. What does that make you? She started walking toward the cave. Not running, not sneaking, just walking, casual as anything, that knife spinning in her fingers. Open fire, I commanded. We unleashed everything. Plasma bolts, explosive rounds, energy beams that could melt steel. The ground where she had been standing turned into a crater of molten rock and shattered stone. Smoke filled the air, thick and acrid. When it cleared, she was gone. Did we get her? Lysara whispered. Behind you, Vesper said. I spun in time to see her standing inside the cave, somehow having bypassed every sensor and trap. Her clothes were singed, her face was covered in soot, and she was still smiling. How? Graktos began. She moved. I had trained my whole life in combat, had studied the movements of 1,000 species, had hunted across countless worlds. I had never seen anything move like she did. It was not fast. It was simply efficient. Economical. Perfect. Graktos fell without a sound, the knife in his throat. Lysara fired point blank, but Vesper was already gone, and the plasma bolt hit me instead, glancing off my shoulder armor in a shower of sparks. When my vision cleared, Lysara was on the ground, unconscious but alive. Vesper sat on a supply crate, legs dangling, watching me with her head tilted. Just us now, Kretok. You and me. The hunter and she grinned. Well, I guess we figured out which is which, huh? I raised my rifle. My hands were shaking. You could have escaped. After the first kill, you could have taken a ship. Fled. Why then? Because you asked me a question back on your ship, remember? You said I should be terrified because no one survives your hunts. She hopped off the crate and walked toward me. I fired. She sidestepped. I fired again. She ducked. But here is the thing you did not consider. What if someone does not want to survive? What if someone wants to win? She was close now. Close enough that I could smell the blood on her clothes. Close enough to see the absolute absence of fear in her eyes. So here is my question for you, Kretok. Second claw of the mighty Vrath'kul hunting pack. She leaned in and her smile was the most terrifying thing I had ever seen. How does it feel to be on the other side? I dropped my rifle. Please, I have younglings. A mate, I can offer you riches, ships, territory. Tempting. She tapped the knife against her chin, considering. But no. See, you are going to do something else for me. You are going to go back to your ship, fly to the nearest Vrath'kul outpost, and tell them exactly what happened here. Tell them about the human who turned your death world into her playground. Tell them about the prey that hunted back. They will come for you. Hundreds of us. Thousands. Good. Her smile widened. I was worried I would get bored. She stepped back, gestured toward the cave entrance. Go on. Run along. Your 3 solar cycles are up. You survived. Congratulations. I ran. I am not proud of it, but I ran. I ran like prey runs, with no dignity, no honor. Only the desperate animal need to survive. Behind me I heard her humming that same irritating melody, the sound following me through the jungle like a ghost. I made it to my ship. I fled Krell 5. And now I sit in this bar on Outpost Sigma, drinking synthesized courage and telling this story to anyone who will listen. The Vrath'kul hunting packs still operate, but they avoid human ships now. They avoid freighters from Earth. They avoid anything that might contain someone like Vesper Wilde, because we finally learned the answer to her question. How many hunted you back? Just one, and one was enough.